Shalom. All praise, honor, and glory and fear to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And peace, love, and salutations to the sincere, hopeful elect brothers out there. I want to get in a quick video because I ran across this article. It has some pretty good information to it, but it also always lines up with what scriptures say for biblical prophecy. And what's going on across the earth right now is one of the prophecies of is written in Matthew the 24th chapter, speaking of wars and rumors of wars. The Most High's got these nations as chess pieces, and to biblical prophecy, and He's lining them up in the ways that He want them to be set. So when the green light is given from Abanawi Yahweh, that the chess begins, and then biblical war takes place. So this article says Israel will not let this happen. But actually, what it is I'm gonna just read it. Israel will not let this happen. Iran is reportedly building a military base in Syria. Now, how does this lines up with biblical prophecy? Well, I have a map here. So here's Russia. Russia is pretty much the big brother of Iran. Iran sits right here. And Iran has the sole backing of Russia. And here is Syria. And what sits next to Syria on the southern tip of Syria? Israel. And Israel and Iran has a constant feud. They constantly warn against one another. And so Israel doesn't want Syria to set up in their backyard. Why? Because they're that closer to strike. They want to keep Iran out of the Syria's land and out of Syria's borders, of their ports, because they don't want their submarines and then their military ships in the Syrian space in their waters. Because why? Their aircraft carriers can hold planes there, so they can make airstrikes to Iran, and they can set up for their nuclear for a nuclear strike. So Iran is really making moves. This is a chess move by Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, setting them up to get in this place right here so they could be round about Israel, because that's biblical prophecy as well. See, contrary to popular belief, America sits over here. America is the big brother to Israel, always backing up Israel. They send billions of dollars to aid Israel per year. So America's over here. Not only America is going to be destroyed, which is biblical prophecy, so is Israel. So they're going to be set up round about Israel and round about United States. So I thought this article was extremely important, because this is biblical prophecy taking place before our eyes, and you brothers could read the article yourself. This is on Blacklisted News. It's should be at the top when you pull up the page, depending on how when it is when you go on the site. But this was published um, November 10th, which is today. And there's key areas, because since for a couple of months now, they've been setting up, since January, actually. Since January, they've been setting up military in on land in Syria. And the article tells you that basically a lot of the stuff that they put is to house soldiers and equipment, which is the start of you setting up a military base on the land. And before I get into scriptures, I want to. And they have pictures of them taking pictures with the two nations, and also that's one of the major reasons why they were trying to get Ashur Bashar out of Syria, because they don't want him allowing these type of things to take place. United States sending sanctions on Syria. It ain't just about the finances. They don't want them to help another nation like Iran gain a military position. And it shows you different aerial views of them setting up, which means they don't care. They don't care what Israel got to say. They don't care what America got to say, because they know they have the strong backing of Russia and China. So They don't care if you see that they're doing this. They were told not to do this. Israel is not going to stand for them setting this military base up. But it doesn't matter. That's what that goes with the scripture said. As they became altogether weak as we became weak as thee, which that's not the case. They became strong as you. Speaking about America and America's allies, which is number one ally, is Israel. But I want to read this portion that I'm gonna get in the scriptures. It says, meanwhile, earlier this week, Reuters reported that Iran's President Hassan Rouhani said Saudi Arabia had made a strategic mistake by considering the United States and Israel as friends and Iran as an enemy. The next few weeks should confirm if he is correct. And of course, the scriptures tell you that when you read in Obadiah, it tells you that all thy confederates have laid a wound under thee, meaning all America's allies are going to eventually turn. And goes right along with that because the Iran's president is saying they're not going to be they're not your friends, they're your enemy. You seeing us as your enemy, and when you look on the map, Saudi Arabia is right here, which is right next door to Israel, and you considering them a friend, and America's over here, you considering them a friend. Well, you need to. That's a major error, mistake, because all these countries are gonna shoot missiles on America and Israel. So let's get into the scriptures. First scripture I want to bring out is Revelation 17 and 16. It says, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore. Now the beast represents NATO and the EU. And the whore that sits upon the beast represents America. It says, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. For the Most High had put in their hearts to fulfill his will. Remember I mentioned earlier, the Most High is putting them into place like chess pieces so they can fulfill his will. And to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast until the words of Yahweh shall be fulfilled. And the woman which thou sawest is that great city, which is America, Babylon, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. So this scripture is telling you clear out that these nations are going to hate the whore. What nations? These nations here, which represents the Middle East. Iran setting up military bases here in Syria. Iran probably calling out Saudi Arabia for them being thinking that America and Israel is your allies when they're really your enemies. These are the part of the nations hating this whore over here, which is America, aka BKA, which is Bible known as Babylon. The next scripture I want to get into is Jeremiah 50 and 14. It says, put yourselves in array against Babylon, round about, all ye that bend the bow. Now, like I mentioned before, America's Babylon. So it's saying get your military personnel in place so that you can bend your bow, which your bow represents your nuclear weaponry capabilities. It says, shoot at her, spare no arrow. And the scriptures prophesy that 200 million missiles will hit America, totally annihilating America. It says, spare no arrows, for she had sinned against the Lord. Shout against her round about. She had given her hand, her foundations are fallen, her walls are thrown down. And this is taking place now because America is constantly putting sanctions on other nations. Why? Because they don't want these other nations to have nuclear capabilities to shoot missiles at them, because they know that their missile defense system is not set up to block all these nations if they were to shoot missiles on America. They don't have enough. Their missile defense system is not up to par. That's why all these presidents for the past several years, including Trump, is trying to cut the budget for other things that the country needs to put into the military, because they need that military defense, because they already know that these other nations have the ability to wipe America off the map, and they don't. That's why Trump is going to these different countries trying to he's basically trying to gain allies. He's trying to peace officer. He's trying to basically talk so they can be in good standing with these nations, because they know that they can't defend the nation if all these different countries was to shoot missiles on America. That's what the scripture says. She had been given. It says, shout against her round about. She had given her hand. Her foundations are fallen. Her walls are thrown down. Which your walls represent your defense. If your walls come down, your city get burned. And that's what they do. They tear your walls down. When you invade a village or a town or a city, you bring down their walls, which is their defense, and you burn their cities and you take their spoils. It says, for it is vengeance of the Lord. That's why you won't be able to do anything to stop it, because it's the Most High's doing. It says, take vengeance upon her, as she had done, do unto her. And I want to skip down to verse 41. It says, behold, a people shall come from the north, and a great nation, and many kings shall raise up from the coast of the earth. Now that great nation, who's in the north? Get back to the map. Russia. Russia's that great nation that's coming from the north. And they're going to be shooting arrows downward, southward, southwest, over to the western part of the earth. So it says, behold, a people shall come from the north. And when you read in Ezekiel, I believe it's Ezekiel, either the second chapter or the third chapter. I believe it's the second chapter, when it speaks about nuclear missiles being people, like an army, and as if they're people, but they're really speaking about the nuclear missiles. So this is whom the Bible speaks of as Gog and Magog, which is Russia. They're that northern nation that's going to come, and there are many kings, which is the surrounding allies to Russia, or the other countries who won't turn on America. They're going to all shoot these missiles on America. Verse 42. And it says, they shall hold the bow and the lance. They are cruel and will not show mercy. And that's Russia going back into their ways of old, with them being very cruel, because Russia was known as a real cruel nation, because of how they were. And they're going to get back into that spirit, because Yahweh Shem Yahshua going to put that spirit on them to take no prisoners. Like, they're going to get into that the spirit of a bear, because Russia is known as the bear. It says, their voice shall roar like the sea, and they shall ride upon horses, every one put in array, like a man to the battle against thee, O daughter of Babylon. So that right there is another point to let you know, when it says like a man to the battle. What's that? What's those men? The men are those nuclear missiles, ICBM missiles. That's going to be arrayed, put in array. That's what's going to be lined up in order, and it's going to be attacking like horses. Horses represents power. So their military might is going to set up and shoot missiles, which will be their power, which is that man to the battle against the daughter of Babylon. And that's another proof where it says the daughter of Babylon, because you know that it's talking about America. It's not talking about the ancient Babylon, which was Iraq. It's talking about modern day Babylon, which is the daughter of Babylon, which is America. And that's how you know that this is talking about America, because this prophecy never took place in ancient Babylon. Verse 43, the king of Babylon had heard the report of them, and his hands waxed feeble. That's why these last few presidents are trying to keep peace with these other nations. Why? Because their hands are waxing feeble, meaning they're scared. It says, anguish took hold of him, and pangs as a woman in travail. So these other nations are getting their military, they have their military capabilities of ICBM missiles, but they're getting positioned so they can get direct shots on over to America, which is this beautiful biblical prophecy, man. This is the last scripture I want to bring out, and this is the prophecy of go back to the map. This is the prophecy of these countries shooting missiles on Israel, which in the land of Israel, these Edomites, these gutter rats, they're the one holding down that. They're the ones that's holding down our land right now. This is Ezekiel 38:18. And it shall come to pass at the same time, when God shall come against the land of Israel, saith the Lord power, that my fury shall come up in my face. Now, this is not talking about the people, the Israelites, us Israelites, is talking about the land. So who's occupying that land right now? Like I said, Esau's in that land. Verse 19, for in my jealousy and in the fire of my wrath have I spoken. Surely in that day there shall be a great shaking in the land of Israel. Why is it going to be a great shaking in the land of Israel? Because nuclear missiles, because nations like Iran is getting itself militarily put in place in lands like Syria so they can have a easier target to Israel. And that's why when America's getting hot nuke, they're not gonna be able to defend the land of Israel. So they baby brother is gonna be left wide open with no defense because they count on America to defend them. America's getting destroyed at the same time you gutter rats in our land in Israel are gonna be getting destroyed. Verse 20, it says, so that I'm gonna read 19 again. For in my jealousy and in the fire of my wrath have I spoken. Surely in that day there shall be a shaking in the land of Israel, so that the fishes of the sea and the fowls of the heavens and the beasts of the field and all creeping things that creep upon the earth and all the men that are upon the face of the earth shall shake at my presence, and the mountains shall be thrown down, and the steep places shall fall, and every wall shall fall to the ground, thus destroying the land of Israel, which is because that land has to be cleansed. It's been defiled by these damn gutter rats, man. These Khazars is holding down our land. These Edomites. Verse 21, and I will call for a sword against him throughout all my mountains, said the Lord power. Who's holding down the mountains? Who's holding down the land of Israel? Whose mountains represents governments? Who is holding down the government in Israel? These gutter rats. Every man's sword shall be against his brother, and I will plead against him with pestilence and with blood, and I will rain upon him, and upon his bands, and upon the many people that are with him, and overflowing rain and great hailstone, fire and brimstone. What's that represent? Those nuclear missiles coming. And the chariots of the Most High is going to be shooting out concentrated fire out of them. But the missiles are the ones that's gonna totally obliterate, totally disintegrate that land of Israel. That's why that land's gonna have to be rebuilt back up by the same nations who are in there. Esau is gonna build our nation, our land back up. Last verse 23. Thus will I magnify myself and sanctify myself, and I will be known in the eyes of many nations, and they shall know that I am the Lord, just like they knew about the great deliverance out of Egypt when Yahweh Bashem Yahushai led the Israelites out of the land of Egypt and out of bondage. Just like the whole earth knew about that, you're going to know about this. So with that, I hope this was edifying. I'm going to do a quick recap on this article here in on Blacklisted News. Israel is not going to want to allow Syria to put up their military bases, and not going to want to allow Iran to set up military base in Syria, which they're already doing. So with that, I hope brothers was edified. I want to say the water to any of and everyone who took a moment to watch this quick video. It's biblical prophecies taking place, man. So we just got to hold on. Lord willing, keep the faith. Pray to the Most High, keep His holy righteous spirit upon us, and keep us faithful to the end. All praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh by Shem Yahushai. Double honors to the apostle and elders of Great Millstone, and peace, love, and salutations to the whole 4 elect brothers out there. Shalom.